Heaven's Gate, founded in 1972 by Marshall Applewhite, who was a former music professor with mental health struggles, and Bonnie Nettles, who was a nurse with an interest in the occult and theosophy. Together, they claimed to be the two witnesses spoken of in the Book of Revelation. These two believed they were divine messengers sent to prepare a select group of people to ascend to a higher realm called the next level. Their core belief was that Earth was about to be recycled, wiped clean by a cosmic event, and the only way to survive was to leave their human bodies behind and join a spaceship they believed was trailing the Hale-Bopp comet. They saw the human body as a temporary container for the soul, and to enter this higher existence, one had to detach completely from earthly life. In 1997, when the comet arrived, 39 members, including Applewhite, died in a coordinated mass suicide, dressed in identical black outfits and Nike sneakers, convinced they were shedding their bodies to ascend to the stars. The Children of God. It was founded in 1968 by David Berg, who claimed to be God's end-time prophet, warning that the world was controlled by Satan and nearing its destruction. They believed Jesus would soon return and that traditional churches were corrupt. One of their most shocking beliefs was that sex could be used as a tool for evangelism, a practice they called flirty fishing, where women were encouraged to have sex with men to recruit them into their faith. The women recruited up to 200 men. Members lived communally, rejected mainstream society, and followed thousands of Mo letters written by Berg, which he claimed were divine revelations. These teachings often included bizarre visions, apocalyptic messages, and highly sexual content. Children raised in the group were often isolated, homeschooled, and subjected to strict indoctrination, and many of them were physically and sexually abused. People's Temple. Founded in 1955 by Jim Jones, this cult began as a progressive Christian church that promoted racial equality, social justice, and communal living, helping him draw thousands of followers. Jones preached a unique blend of Christianity and socialism, calling it apostolic socialism, where followers believed in creating a utopian society by rejecting capitalism and living as one family under shared values and resources. But with time, this cult started to become more hateful towards its deserters, and the media leading them to be instigated. To get away with this scrutiny, the People's Temple went to Guyana and founded a settlement known as Jonestown, which reached a population of 900 people in 1978. Around this time, U.S. Representative Leo Ryan, who was investigating claims of abuse within the temple, visited Jonestown. During his visit, a number of temple members expressed a desire to leave with him. On November 18th, some accompanied Ryan to the local airstrip at Port Kaituma. There, they were intercepted by temple security guards who opened fire on the group, killing Ryan, 3 journalists, and one of the defectors, as well as injuring 9 others. That evening in Jonestown, Jim Jones ordered his congregation to drink a concoction of cyanide-laced, grape-flavored Flavor Aid. In all, 918 people died, including 276 children. Some members resisted and were injected with fatal doses of cyanide, and Jim Jones himself likely died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The 12 Tribes. This cult was founded in the early 1970s by Elbert Eugene Spriggs in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The 12 Tribes believe that the modern church is corrupt and has strayed from the original teachings of Jesus. They aim to recreate the early church as described in the Book of Acts, living communally and holding all possessions in common. Members are divided into 12 tribes, each named after a tribe of Israel. They believe they are restoring the true people of God, forming a spiritual nation that will usher in the return of Jesus. Followers live together, sharing everything: money, property, and labor. They dress modestly, homeschool their children, and reject modern entertainment, mainstream education, and many outside influences. Daily life revolves around worship, farming, and running their small businesses like cafes and farms. They believe in keeping Old Testament laws, including Sabbath observance and dietary restrictions. They reject traditional Christian holidays like Christmas and Easter, calling them pagan, and they also view themselves as the true spiritual Israel preparing for the return of the Messiah. Aum Shinrikyo. This group was founded by Shoko Asahara, a Japanese man who claimed to be Christ and said his mission was to take upon himself the sins of the world. He claimed he could transfer spiritual power to his followers and ultimately take away their sins and bad deeds. Asahara also predicted that a nuclear apocalypse, instigated by the United States, would soon occur, in which everyone would die except his followers. It is also said that Asahara interpreted the Tibetan Buddhist concept of phawa in a way that allowed him to claim that killing someone opposed to the group's goals was actually saving them, preventing them from accumulating bad karma. This twisted belief led members to think they were doing others a favor by killing them. In 1995, they carried out a deadly attack on the Tokyo subway system using sarin gas, killing 13 people and injuring over 1,000 others. He orchestrated the Tokyo subway attack to hinder police investigations into the cult and perhaps to trigger the apocalyptic prophecy they believed in. 13 senior Aum Shinrikyo leaders, including Asahara himself, were sentenced to death and later executed in 2018, while many others received prison sentences of up to life. The movement for the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God was founded by Credonia Morinde and Joseph Kibwetera in southwestern Uganda, with both claiming to have seen the Virgin Mary. The cult placed an obsessive focus on the Ten Commandments, to the extent of discouraging talking for fear of breaking the ninth commandment. They promoted strict fasting and forbade sexual relationships. The movement's leaders declared that the apocalypse would occur on December 31, 1999. When that prediction failed, the group began to unravel, with many members reportedly demanding their money back. In response, the leaders set a new date for the end of the world, March 17, 2000. On that day, a large celebration was held at Kanungu. Once members entered the building to attend the event, the doors and windows were boarded shut to prevent anyone from escaping. An explosion then occurred, setting the building on fire and killing all 530 people inside. Just days earlier, cult leader Dominic Katarababo had reportedly been seen purchasing 50 liters of sulfuric acid, which may have been used to start the blaze. Additionally, many victims were believed to have been poisoned. The final death toll reached 924. The whereabouts of the 5 principal cult leaders remain unknown, as they presumably escaped. Church of Scientology. The Church of Scientology was founded in 1954 by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard, based on his earlier self-help system called Dianetics. At its core, Scientology teaches that humans are immortal spiritual beings known as Thetans, who have forgotten their true nature. According to its belief system, Thetans have lived through countless past lives even on other planets, and are burdened by traumatic memories called engrams that hinder spiritual growth. Scientology claims that through a counseling process called auditing, individuals can clear these engrams and achieve a state known as clear, ultimately reaching higher levels of spiritual enlightenment called operating Thetan levels. The church is highly secretive about its upper-level teachings, which include the controversial belief that 75 million years ago, an intergalactic tyrant named Zenu brought billions of people to Earth, killed them, and their spirits now haunt modern humans. The church has been widely criticized for aggressive tactics against critics, financial exploitation of followers, and maintaining strict control over members. Despite this, it maintains celebrity followers, most notably Tom Cruise and John Travolta, and continues to operate as a tax-exempt religion in the United States. The Manson Family. The Manson family was a cult led by Charles Manson in the late 1960s, primarily based in California. Manson, a manipulative and charismatic ex-convict, preached a twisted mix of apocalyptic ideology and pseudo-spiritual beliefs. He claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus Christ and convinced his followers that an impending race war, what he called helter-skelter, a term borrowed from a Beatles song, would destroy the United States. Manson taught that Black Americans would win the war but would be incapable of ruling, and that his followers, the family, would emerge from hiding to take control. He manipulated mostly young, vulnerable people, especially women, using drugs, isolation, and psychological control. In 1969, he ordered his followers to carry out a series of brutal murders to incite the race war, including the infamous killing of actress Sharon Tate and 6 others. Manson and several of his followers were later convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Raelism. Raelism is a UFO religion founded in 1974 by Claude Vorilhon, a former French race car driver and journalist who later became known as Rael. He claimed that in 1973 he was contacted by an extraterrestrial being named Yahweh from a species called the Elohim. According to Rael, the Elohim are an advanced alien race who scientifically created all life on Earth through genetic engineering. Raelism teaches that the Elohim were mistaken for gods in ancient texts, including the Bible, and that humanity's true creators are extraterrestrial, not divine. The core belief of Raelism is that by spreading this message of scientific creation and universal love, humanity can achieve peace, enlightenment, and eventually gain access to advanced alien knowledge and technology. The movement promotes sexual freedom, world unity, and the development of cloning as a step toward eternal life. In 2002, a Raelian-affiliated biotech company, Clonaid, claimed to have cloned the first human, a controversial statement that was never scientifically verified. Despite criticism and being labeled a cult by some, Raelism remains active worldwide, advocating for the construction of an interstellar embassy to welcome the Elohim back to Earth. the Order of the Solar Temple. This was a secretive cult founded in 1984 by Joseph D. Mambro and Luc Jouret, combining elements of New Age philosophy, early Christianity, and apocalyptic beliefs. The group claimed to be the modern-day continuation of the medieval Knights Templar and believed in preparing members for a spiritual transition to a higher plane of existence on a planet orbiting the star Sirius. Central to their belief system was the idea that the Earth was doomed and that death, particularly ritualistic or voluntary death, was a path to salvation and rebirth in a better world. The leadership maintained strict control over members, who were often wealthy, through manipulation, staged miracles, and fabricated spiritual authority. Between 1994 and 1997, the cult was responsible for a series of mass murder-suicides in Switzerland, France, and Canada. These deaths were often staged as ritualistic ceremonies, with bodies arranged in symbolic patterns and many showing signs of execution. In total, 74 people died, including children. Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, is a spiritual practice founded in China in 1992 by Li Hongji. It combines slow-moving qigong exercises, meditation, and a moral philosophy rooted in the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Practitioners believe that by aligning with these values, they can improve their health, achieve spiritual enlightenment, and ultimately elevate to higher realms of existence. Falun Gong draws from Buddhist and Taoist traditions, but it also incorporates unique cosmological ideas introduced by Li, such as the existence of multiple dimensions and purification of the body through moral living. Although initially welcomed in China for its health benefits, the Chinese Communist Party banned it in 1999, labeling it a threat to social stability due to its rapid growth and organizational independence. Since then, Falun Gong practitioners have faced widespread persecution in China, including imprisonment, torture, and reports of forced organ harvesting. Internationally, the movement has gained support for its human rights advocacy and continues to promote its teachings, particularly through media outlets and cultural initiatives aligned with its beliefs. The branch Davidians. They were a religious sect that broke away from the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the 1950s, but became widely known under the leadership of David Koresh, born Vernon Howell, in the 1980s. Koresh claimed to be the final prophet of God and believed he alone could unlock the meaning of the 7 seals described in the Book of Revelation. The group believed they were living in the last days and that Koresh's teachings would prepare them for the coming apocalypse. He preached that he was the Lamb mentioned in Revelation, not Jesus, and that he had a divine mandate to father children with chosen women to create a pure lineage. The group lived communally at their Mount Carmel Center near Waco, Texas, stockpiling weapons in preparation for an end-times battle. In 1993, the ATF attempted to execute a search warrant at the compound, which led to a 51-day standoff with the FBI. It ended in a catastrophic fire that killed 76 branch Davidians, including Koresh, and many children. The incident sparked national debate over government force, religious freedom, and cult dynamics.